Where are you from?
I'm from Albany, Georgia, born and raised, little tiny small town. Everyone loves Albany, so yeah. I like being from there, but living there, no.
What was it like growing up in Albany?
What was it like? I feel like I come from like a really like sheltered household. My grandma's a minister and I come from a family of like 50 people. So, I mean, that's all I knew. My family, school, and once I started like dibbling and dabbling in the performing arts industry, I was able to see more because I was able to travel to Atlanta and bigger cities. But growing up there was nice. I mean, I did all of my schooling there. I have some friends from my hometown still. But yeah, it was nice growing up and I was comfortable, but I'm just over it. Bigger and better things now.
Yeah. So how old were you when you entered the performing arts world?
I was, 12 years old.
Okay.
I started attending AGI. It's a performing arts camp that I would go to every summer and winter. So my mom would send me up for the, whenever we would break from school to be in performing arts camp.
Okay.
So I attended there for like almost 5 years just in artist development, and I was able to sign to my agency because Natasha Garcia, the lady that owns the camp and ran the camp, hooked me up with my agent at a showcase, and I've been signed to Click ever since.
Okay. And so the performing arts art that you were participating in was modeling, or was there something else too at that camp?
Yeah, at the camp. So that's the crazy thing about it. I never thought that I would get into modeling. The camp was just singing, dancing, and acting.
Okay.
But I just ended up booking with a modeling agency at the showcase. But yeah, that's what I was training for, learning how to sing. I could never get the dancing under wrap, but we're still working on it. I can bust a little, here and there.
So were you singing back then?
Yeah, I grew up singing. I grew up in church singing, and my grandma loved to hear my voice, especially my great grandma. She's getting a little older now, but she lives through those moments where I would just sing me a song and I'll break out singing for her. But yeah, all my family sings, so like even in like my household, that was a thing. But like going out and performing for people, that didn't really start until I was like 14, 15. I started competing in the Miss America system.
Okay.
So yeah, I did pageants. I started doing like preliminary pageants in middle school, and then I started winning actually in high school, and I was able to compete at Miss Georgia. So it's been a thing forever, but I started off training like classical vocal, and for when I competed in the pageants, I would sing opera. So yeah, I mean, that was my start. It's always been a thing. I love music.
So what is pageant life like? Because you hear all these things in the media about like
Pageant life is crazy. Like, I learned so much, like from interview skills to just how to proper etiquette when it comes to eating, like just from holding certain titles. Like there was just no end to the amount of things that like I learned, and like how much I developed and grew as a person just from being in pageantry in that world. But competing was a lot. Like it did take a toll on me, because not only was I competing in pageants, I was trying to get through high school, I was playing soccer, I was doing all that cute stuff too.
Okay.
But it's like, after a while, once the competition and all that stuff is over and you like I'm looking back at it now, I'm like, oh, I'm so worth it. One of my friends, her name's Kelsey, she's actually Miss Georgia now, and she'll be competing in Miss America in a month. So just making long-term relationships and friendships that have been so beneficial in so many ways just over the years. I mean, I guess I got a lot of good things out of it, but I no longer compete in real.
And so now you're modeling professionally for Click?
Yeah, I've been signed to Click Models of Atlanta for 5 years now.
Okay, and what has that career been like?
Crazy too. Like, when you just have this dream for yourself and you're like, what am I gonna do? Some of the things that I've like excelled at, I just didn't see that. So once I hop into the modeling world, like at 16 years old, I'm like, okay, Zyan, what are you doing? And my mom was kind of new to the world too, and she's like, I don't know what we're doing, but we've been trying to get somewhere this whole time, and I don't, it was some brand. My mom was thinking like the rates were like average rates for modeling, and a brand reached out to us like my first year being signed, and my mom's like, there's no way you're about to make this amount of money standing in front of a camera for that long. I said, yes we are, mama, we about to make this money. But honestly, after modeling popped off, I was kind of like straight away from music. And I don't think I regret it, but it's like, why did I do that? Because I kind of like put it on the back burner, only because music wasn't bringing me any type of money, and I was putting out more than anything, especially when I wanted to like push myself on my own outside of like pageant world and all that stuff. But yeah, I got really caught up in it. I've lived in model houses in New York. I was in New York for 6 months, and then I couldn't take the city, so I moved to Staten Island, and I was riding the ferry to work every morning into the city. So I've had a show with modeling. Like, I've had a time. I've done some work with some pretty cool brands. So I mean, and I'm still, you know, getting pretty decent jobs.
So you don't like the big city lifestyle?
I like it. But I also like being able to disconnect and go into my own space. But that's why I love Staten Island, because like at first, the first 6 months I stayed right in the middle of Wall Street, and that was crazy.
I know. What kind of energy is that?
Crazy energy. I was living in a model house on Wall Street. That's crazy. 16 other girls in a 2-bedroom house with bunk beds. And then on top of that chaos, 5 o'clock in the morning, you hear them building the building next to you.
Wait, it was 16 and two bedroom? No, it wasn't. What? Really? Wait, how does a model house work though? Like,
so, my situation, it was more so. By the way, excuse me, I was 18 years old, so I kind of was just like. My parents, I consider my grandpa, my grandma, my parents too, because they put a lot of effort into raising me. So like my parents, the whole family unit, they were just very confused as to like why you want to do that, but they never told me no. When it comes to my dreams, go do it, whatever, as long as you're okay. So I was out there all alone. What was the question? The cough threw me off.
No, I was saying like, what is the model house like?
Oh yeah. So when I walked into it, I didn't know what I was getting myself into, but I knew that I was going to go to New York, and this promoter was like, you can live in this house for free. All you have to do is come out with me 3 days a night. Okay. And so I'm like, okay, that doesn't sound too bad. And I was like, I'm 18 years old. And he's like, so you can get a fake ID or figure it out. So I got someone to send me, this is so crazy, I got someone to send me a photo of their passport, and I looked like her, and that's how I got into every club in New York, showing a picture of this lady's passport. She was like 30-something years old. But it was crazy, living there was crazy. Also another situation where I met so many cool people, and they're still my friends to this day. I was just talking to one of my, that's crazy, I was just talking to one of my friends from New York today. But yeah, it was very chaotic. And the night, that was my introduction to nightlife too. Because before 18, before I moved out to college, went off to college, I had never been to any clubs. I never had alcohol. I never done anything recreational. Like I told you, I came from a very sheltered home.
Yeah,
so
Albany.
That was a life for me. So I was 18 in New York in a model house with 16 other bad bitches living my life, basically.
That's funny. Okay, so was it a fast life?
It was fast. It was super fast.
From your perspective, like, what's fast?
Anything faster than Albany. Fast life for me is, what is the fast life? Something that never stops going. Like, it was just consistent, like, go. And like, you know, I have friends that are promoted here in Atlanta, and they'll do nightlife and sleep all day. But dang, I think I just realized I was doing nightlife and being a full-time model all day, and then I had to do that like 3 or 4 times a week. So when did I sleep? And then like I'm sending videos to like different brands trying to get picked up in New York by brands and stuff. So outside of me going to castings and working on set as a model and then having to leave and do my 6-hour nights at the club, I gotta find a way to do this casting video or find time to do this. So it just never ended for me. So that was the fast life. It pausing, like it never pausing, nothing, like consistent flow of energy and money.
And so do you feel like the money coincides with the faster you go? Like the more energy you exert, the more money you get?
if you let it. Like some people, one thing that did happen, I got way too caught up into it. And like I lost focus and I lost touch of like why I was in New York, why I decided I wanted to live this life, why I left my grandma back home, why I left my mom back home with my little sister, who I've been asking for a little sister. Like she's like in the NICU, like fighting for her life. Like why am I in New York doing this? Like what is this bringing me?
So were you making music in New York City?
No, I wish. I was singing a lot because that was just like my outlet from like, I don't know. When I'm stressed out, I sing or I write. So I have songs that I wrote when I was in New York that I just started to record like last month. So yeah, I wasn't singing at all. I like paused music.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so where do you draw your inspiration from for your music?
When I'm writing, everything I write about is a true story. Like something someone has, a situation someone's put me in or I put myself in, or something that I've learned from. Like people inspire me and situations inspire me. That's where my inspiration comes from.
So you have a song out now called That's Not What Friends Do?
Friends Don't Do This.
All right, so what was the inspiration behind Friends Don't Do This?
So this guy who I was talking to, he's so weird. I almost called his name, that's how weird he is. But yeah, he was going one way in regards to our relationship, and I was doing my own thing. And I kind of got caught in the act of doing my own thing because I was out with another guy at a restaurant, and he's like going off on me, acting crazy, and I'm like, we've been doing what we've been doing, but you said we were friends, and friends don't do this. Friends don't like argue in the middle of a restaurant when they see their other friend out with someone else, no matter what y'all are doing within that friendship. But yeah, it was kind of just like, and after that, someone else got into it with me about like going outside of the boundaries of a relationship that I didn't even know I was in. So when I wrote the song, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna talk about friends not doing this, and that inspired that song. And I was talking about like chilling on the bed, playing 2K, because that's it. Like, guys feel like just because they do certain things, like one of my friends was telling me like this guy pays for her nails and stuff, and he told her that she couldn't talk to anyone else. Because he paying for your nails and toes? Wait, and y'all aren't even in a relationship, so maybe y'all are friends? Friends don't do that. Like, but yeah, like everything's just situational and like however I'm feeling in the moment. Because sometimes my songs or poems or whatever I'm writing will be so sad, and then it's sometimes it'll be so happy, and then I'll look at the date and I'm like, oh, I remember that. I was going through something at that time. But yeah.
Are you, or would you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert?
I've been forced to be an extrovert just because like the lifestyle that I desire and like the lifestyle I've been living over my 20-something years of life. But I love being alone. Like I'm always alone outside of work and outside of like partying, and I'm trying to like work on that because I didn't realize how like lonely my friends get without me when I like close myself off. I like go into hibernation mode. Like I'll be in my room for like days after days after days, and I have like a bathroom connected, and like so I don't even have to come out of my little space for real. And I'll just write and think, and sometimes I'll be on Instagram, or sometimes I'll disconnect from social media too. But yeah, like There was one time I did that for like 3 months straight.
Really? And you didn't talk to anyone?
Yeah. And that's how I wrote Funny Story during that time too, the song that I'm dropping in a few weeks. But like I just write, and like I'm comfortable with being my own best friend. I love that Beyonce song too. So like,
Wait, so how do you maintain your relationships?
I don't
Like your, you know what I'm saying, like your business and your personal.
Sometimes it's really hard, like, and I feel like that's the one reason why like stuff hasn't gotten to me where like I haven't gotten to like the highest level I want to be in life, because I've had all the doors, I have all the connections, like I could just like walk into it really, but I'm like, oh Zyan, when are you gonna be consistent? When are you gonna be adult and not a bear and go hibernate every year? Like, so there's just like personal questions I've had with myself, and you know, like that's dealing with your own childhood trauma and all this stuff. But over the years, I have 2 therapists now. Talk therapy is great, by the way. So let's get into that. But yeah, just talking to my therapist and just trying to find other ways to like release those emotions where I felt like I couldn't release, like I had to release behind closed doors. So I learned that I like to hunt, I like to hike.
Hunt what? Animals?
No, I don't want to talk about it on camera.
Oh my God.
I'm from the country.
Not in your industry. You hunting animals and you a model.
I'm from the country. I'm from Albany, Georgia. Okay, but I like to hunt, I like to hike, I love to fish, I like to shoot bow and arrows, I like axe throwing. And I just realized all of this, I knew about most of it, like hiking and kayaking and all that stuff, but I never like thought to put the energy into it. Like I would just do it for fun with my friends. But doing that stuff alone is fun too. So yeah, so like just putting my energy elsewhere and not feeling like I have to like close myself off, because I can write in a kayak. I write when I go on hiking trails. I'll hike to a certain area, sit there, write. Like I'm just finding other ways to release and not just close myself in. My therapist helped me do that. That's why I say therapy is cool. But yeah.
How important is like mental health for you right now as an artist, and just artists in general?
It's super important, because that's what keeps me sane. And I was told like at a young age that I have clinical anxiety, and I was taking meds and all this stuff for it. And then I got to a point where, because my grandma, like I don't necessarily want to say that she doesn't believe in like medicine, but it's just like prayer changes everything in her world. So I guess she did pray it out of me, because I don't take those antidepressants anymore or anything. But yeah, like it's a big deal. It should be a big deal for anyone, like an artist, a chiropractor, like an anesthesiologist. Like everyone should like know and take into consideration that their mental health is a big thing. And luckily I realized that at a really young age, because I told you my grandma, she raised me and I grew up in her household, and she just happens to be a psychologist. So having her in my house and just a great listener, like I was always have someone that wants to hear me out. Like I always felt heard in that regard. So it's like, that's a big deal. It always has been.
What is the craziest moment that you've experienced in your career in the arts? So that could be modeling, or that could be music, whatever you choose.
Craziest?
Or let's say most memorable.
Memorable?
Yeah, it don't gotta be crazy.
It can be from any world, like I don't know why this one is just right here, but I'm trying to find another one, but I can't let this go.
All right, what is it?
So Kelsey, one of my best friends, the girl who I told you is Miss Georgia now, she won Miss Georgia's Outstanding Teen like a few years back. And I remember talking to her before, and she's like, I don't know what's gonna happen, but I just trusted in God, and like, you know, even if I don't win, it is what it is. Like I'll win another pageant. Like, and I was just like, yeah. And there was another girl that was kind of close to us back then too. And I remember just talking in the bathroom, and she's like, I don't know if she felt, I think she'd given all that she could to the competition, and she got to the point where win or lose, I'm content. But Raven and I, that was my other friend saying, we're like, no, win, you know losing, and we're competing in this competition with her. And we're like, no, like you're going to win this crown. And so the pageant's happening, it's about to end, and they're like, the first runner-up and they were holding hands. They're like, Miss Georgia's outstanding teen, Kelsey Hollis. I'm like, oh, what in the world? And I've never had a close friend of mine like to win something so big, like right in front of my eyes. So I'm like, there's no way she just won this pageant. And I see her crying. Kelsey's like right here. I run towards Kelsey and I knock the crown that they just put on her head off. And she's crying and we're hugging, and Kelsey's looking at me like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And I'm like, I know. And I picked the crown up out of the ground and I crowned her. So me being a contestant, like crown Miss Georgia's outstanding teen by mistake, and she just happened to be my best friend. But like, that's just something I'll never forget. And you know, like, people were coming to me afterwards talking about like, why would you do that? Why would you ruin that moment for her and all this stuff? And Kelsey was like, never, like that energy never came across. Like she was just as happy like as I was. And every year on my birthday, she reposts the picture of me crowning her and says happy birthday. And yeah, that's something I'll never forget. And I don't know if I've had crazier things happen, bigger things that other people would like say, oh, you could have told a better story or something different. But like, as to me and my emotions and like what I felt, like that was the most like, I don't know, rewarding. And I don't even know why.
And so now you're trying to fully transition from modeling to music, or do you like kind of want like 1 foot in, 1 foot out? What's your plans?
I don't want to do 1 foot in and 1 foot out anymore. Like, that's getting me nowhere. Like, jack of all trades, master of none. But it's like, I'm tired of like having 1 foot in one door, 1 foot out. Like, I just want to stick with my music, trust in my abilities. And like, another thing that was keeping me from like going full circle with my music anyways, because I knew like some of the things that I wrote about and like said, and like how I got my point across in when it comes to my artistry and music, that like people from the worlds that I met when I was coming up and before I got to where I am now, I was feared that I would be judged, or oh, she used to be a pageant queen, now she's cursing in her music. Like that's always been a fear. And like some of these songs that I'm writing and people are loving now, like I'm like, bro, if you would have known that, you could have loved this 4 years ago. I wrote that in high school. Right. So yeah, now it's like, last month, I was like 2 months ago, I was like, I want to record my songs. I want to put it, I don't care what I say. I don't want to sell them. I want to do it myself. Because like, I feel like no one can, I sold one and I heard the girl singing and I'm like, nah, no one can sell and sing that song like I can, because it's mine. So yeah, I see myself as an artist now. I mean, I'll put on some clothes for a big brand any day and model it, like whatever, but both feet are in the door of music. Like I'm in there and I'm loving it. It makes me happy. I smile more. Like I can wake up and write all day and like be okay with that and not thinking that I'm like not doing enough, because I did try to focus solely on music at one point, and people around me did try to make me feel as if that wasn't enough. But I don't care anymore about what anyone else thinks. The only thing that's like a dilemma for me right now is my happiness.
And can you touch on that a little bit?
Like what makes me happy,
Yeah,
or what brings me happiness?
You say your dilemma is happiness. Are you unhappy?
Am I unhappy? Sometimes, because I'm like, like, why can't I be myself? Like, why can't I be enough? Like, why can't I put whatever I want out in the world and not be judged? Like, why do I have to worry about, like, me posting a picture with shorts and a t-shirt, someone from my hometown calling my grandma, telling her, like, Zyan doing it again, you got her ass out. And I'm like, what? Why would you send that to my grandma? I'm like, ass isn't out. Those are booty shorts. Like, the fuck? So, like, I it never made, there was a point where it did make me unhappy, and I'm like, what? And then like my best friends would be like, what's up? Like, you doing this, you doing that, like seemingly everything is working out for you, like what's making you depressed? Like, no one will be happy for me, no one will do. And I'm like, well, my best friend Allie, like her and I, we beefing for real though, but right now we're good, I guess. We had a conversation today, but anyways, I missed her so much. I'm happy we're together, but anyways, but she helped me realize, like, you don't have to care about what nobody else thinks. Like, it's your life, live it the way you want it. And I met her like a few years ago, and so like seeing her, and Allie don't give a fuck about nothing, nobody. And I'm like, it's about Allie, what Allie wants, and what makes Allie happy. And I used to see her and what she was doing as a flaw. I'm like, you can't live your life like that. And one day she looked me dead in my eyes and said, why? And I said, you damn right. I said, you're right. I said, you're so right. Okay. But I felt like if I wouldn't have met my best friend, I would still be caught up in that circle of unhappiness. But right now, I feel great. I feel good. I feel really good. And the thing that I changed was pleasing myself and not others.
Oh, facts. And so for someone aspiring to do the things that you do, they may want to model, or they may want to become a music artist. What advice would you have for them?
Living your truth, you know. Always don't ever get stuck in like one motion. Like with anything you do, like if you're a model, if you're an artist, like whatever, like if it's not excelling as fast as you want to or moving at the pace that you desire, be okay of stepping outside of it and trying something else. Because, you know, I have friends that have been doing like music and modeling that I met when I was 18 and they were like 39, and I'm at this grown age and they're still trying to push it off. So it's like, just be hyper aware of what you're doing and always know your why. Because once you know your why fucking not? You're gonna do it. You're gonna keep pushing. You're gonna do it. But don't get caught up in the loop, and always trust in yourself and listen to your heart. Don't get caught up into what other people say or think, because it just makes the process more drawn out and just a freaking headache.